As a 19-year-old who runs a 7-figure a year business, there are 7 traits or 7 ideas that I have learned and I've discovered throughout the time that has actually allowed me to get to this point. So I'm going to break down what these 7 are, how you can actually utilize them, and basically 7 things that I live by that allow me to get to this point. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. The first thing is that speed is everything. Not just the speed in which you move, but the speed in which you make decisions, the speed in which you act on them, the speed in which you move on from them if they don't work. Speed is by far, I'd say, the number one thing that you can do. And you'll realize every single thing in this list all comes back to the one thing, which is speed. Moving quickly will either keep you alive or it will kill you. And the easiest thing, or the easiest kind of exercise you can do to understand this is the following. So there's 2 people, right? Let's take one person and they make a decision every day. Okay, they think of an idea, they act on it, they move on from it if it doesn't work, all within the span of one day, or it takes them one day to do it. Then there's another person that takes a week. So the idea is that most people will look at this and they'll say, okay, well, one person just takes 6 more days to actually do something. But in reality, this is not the case. If you take one day to make a decision, by the time you've made 7 decisions, the other person has made 1, right? So by the time they've made 3, you've already made 21 decisions. You've made 18 more decisions than they have. And if it was that fourth decision that worked, you now had 17 times to double down on the one thing that worked before the other person even got to the idea, before they even got there. And that is what people do not understand, that speed will trump almost anything else entirely, because you could have the best strategies in the world, but if you never actually get to them, it doesn't matter. Right? You do not understand how far along someone will be if they simply act faster than you. And that's something that I've done, and that in all the circles I'm in, I'm known for, is moving as quickly as possible. Have an idea. I think, will this actually benefit me? Will this push me forward? And if it does, then you act on it. And that is the key to actually moving in business. If it takes you double the amount of time to do something as someone else does, then you are not just spending longer on that time. You are losing everything that you could be gaining. If you are thinking about investing in something, right? Investing into, whether it be like it can be stocks or it can be a mentor. Every time, all of the time that you spend not doing it because you're overthinking it or you're doing it, you are actively losing out on the money that you could have had. And that's the way you need to think about it. Speed is the number one key. So act quickly, look at the decision and think to yourself, is this going to benefit me? If it is, then do it that day. Okay. Act on it as quick as possible. And set yourself a shorter time frame to do it than you think you need, and you will complete it in that time frame. Things take as long as you give them. So if you give yourself a week to do something, it's going to take you a week. If you give yourself an afternoon, you're going to figure out a way to do it. And if you don't, I guarantee you're going to be a lot quicker than you would be if you waited that whole week. So the first thing is speed. That brings us straight into the second idea. The second idea is called test or double down on what works. So what does it actually mean? This means that there's only 2 things you should be doing in business or in the content or in anything. There's 2 things you should be doing. There's testing new things and doubling down on what's working for you. Now, the trap that people fall into is that you'll see it constantly. People just do the same thing over and over and over and over, expecting a different result. That is literally the definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting something else in return. The one thing that you should be doing is testing something that's proven to work for someone else and doubling down on what's proven to work for yourself. I see it time and time again. People just double down on things over and over and over that do not work. And they're screwing themselves and they're shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over. And no matter how many times they get the pain, they just keep doing it. And they don't realize that they're not getting there eventually. They're not building momentum because there's nothing you can get momentum from. It's proven that it doesn't work. So stop doubling down on it. And this is where speed comes in. I'm not saying try something and if it doesn't work, once stop, but find something that's proven that works for someone else. Try it out, double down on it, and give it a chance, but be testing other things at the same time. And if it doesn't work, move on from it and find something new. It all comes back to the same principle. It is working smart, not working hard, but working quickly is going to get you further. Now, this brings us to the third point, which is kind of a controversial take, which is you need a life outside of work, outside of business, outside of your brand. You need a life outside of it. Now, don't get me wrong. I am all for working extremely hard, putting in the hours, 12, 14, 16-hour days. I have nothing against that. And I honestly really enjoy it, right? We're all doing this for the same reason. It's because we enjoy what we do. And if you don't enjoy what you do, then you need to find something else, or you need to wait for the next point that I'm going to target, which actually covers how you can. But you need life outside of work. And there's a few reasons I actually feel this way. The first is that if the only thing you're ever thinking about is what you're building, or if the only ever doing, then you never have time to actually think. And I think that giving yourself and setting aside time just to live and just to actually think allows you to have better ideas. Some of the best ideas I've ever had for content, for my brand, for business entirely, came from giving myself time to step away from work, scheduling in my calendar if I have to so that it feels like work, and actually just living. Because you get ideas from experiences, you get ideas from consuming different things. You don't get ideas from sitting at the desk and forcing them to come through. So if it makes you feel better, plan it into your calendar so that it is actually work. And it isn't only for you, but it's for the people around you too. It happens way too often where people start really getting into things. They'll put in all these hours and the people around them suffer because of it. Now, I feel like if someone is holding you back and they're not good for you and they don't want you to put in the work, then that's someone that you can cut off. But if it's someone that you want around you, family, your girlfriend, friends that are actually healthy, then make sure that you've put work into them too, because you only have so many days. At the end of the day, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And in the perfect world, you can work all that you want and everyone's going to be happy, but that just isn't how it is, right? And in the perfect world as well, you just come up with ideas as soon as you're working, but that isn't how it is either. You need to give yourself time to think. You need to give yourself time to enjoy life, because we're doing this for the same reason. It's to enjoy it, right? And I guarantee you, when you give yourself some time, you can come back and you enjoy a lot more. So I do something that's a little like, there's different viewpoints on it, but I used to be the person that would work every single day, 24/7. Now I still do that, but what I do now is I schedule times in my week to do something fun, and I force myself to do it. And I also took Saturdays completely off. Now, the reason I did this is because I still want to work on Saturdays, but I did it for the reason that I need to be able to not, okay? And if the business cannot run without you, which is something we're going to be talking about later, but if the business, if the brand, if everything can't continue to grow without you, then it is just a glorified hobby. So the time you spend not at work is just as important as the time you spend working. Make sure you give yourself some time not to just be working, but to be thinking, to be enjoying, to be consuming. And I guarantee you're going to get a lot further, which brings us straight into the fourth point, which is you need to understand your mission. So what this actually means is you need to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And it can't just be for money. It can't just be for a vanity metric of a certain amount of followers or a certain amount of whatever. It needs to be something bigger than yourself, because the problem is that if you are always relying on motivation or discipline, it's a push motivation. You're pushing your way through it and pushing to what you want. But at the end of the day, the biggest brands, the biggest creations have been built off of pull motivation, something bigger than yourself pulling you towards it because it is so important for you to accomplish. And as soon as I started actually doing this, my entire business changed, because it gave me a reason to wake up in the morning more than just to get the work done, more than just disciplining through it. And this is one of the most important parts of it and one of the easiest ways to actually enjoy what you're doing. So for context, my mission has changed over time, right? But my mission currently is that I kind of have a personal and then I have kind of a more broad, but my personal mission is that I want to build a program so strong, or build a business so good, post content so good, it's so informational and so useful that people never have to be in the position that it was before I started this. For context, I grew up with my mom basically raising 2 kids. We had no money at all, single parent, and I saw what money could be like, and I saw what it could look like if you didn't have it. So I wanted to build information so good and help people build their business to a point where they would never have to do that, and they could give their family whatever they feel they deserve. So that's my personal. And then I have a bigger, which is my mission. My bigger mission is I want to change the way people view the online money space entirely. Right now, there's so many associations it has. It's just like, it's either flashy money like Lambos and Rolexes, or it's like scammers. I want to change the way entirely. I want people to view online money as what it really is. It's the one thing that allows people to completely change their life regardless of their starting point. And it's just as respectable as going to college, or more respectable. And that's what I want people to view it as. I want people to view it as a mature route that is just as respectable as anything else. And in order to do that, I need to change the associations it has, and I need to be able to help people build businesses that's just as respectable as anything else, right? And I've done it firsthand. I mean, I've helped people. I've helped even some kids, like teenagers. This kid in my program at 17, he went from 0 to 40K a month in 3 months. And dropped out of school because of it. I mean, he dropped out of high school. I think he should have kept going, but we're changing people's lives. And regardless of what he chooses to do with school or not, he's now more respected because of it by the people around him. They respect him and they respect his decisions. And that's what I want to build. So you need to understand your mission. If it's not something that gets you up in the morning and keeps you up at night because you just need to keep going, then it's not big enough. So keep chasing something. Find something that really pulls you towards it. And I guarantee you, this will get you so much further. Now, what you can do and what you do ideally is you tie that mission into your business, into your content, into whatever you're doing. Because if people know your mission, people will then buy into that. And regardless of what you sell, they're going to follow you. Now, onto the fifth point, which I said we we're going to bring back up, but it's build leverage. Because if business can't run without you, you don't have a business. Leverage is everything. And the idea is that we exercise that. If you can't take 3 weeks off of working on what you're working on, then it's not a brand, it's not a business, it's not a personal brand. It is a glorified hobby. It's a glorified side hustle. At the end of the day, you should not be doing anything that isn't tied to your face or tied to only what you can do. And so many people get caught up in wanting to do everything themselves. One, because they think they're saving money, which I'm going to get into why that's wrong. Or two, they feel like nobody else can do it as good as they can. First, saving money. That is one of the stupidest things you can ever tell yourself. Because if you're able to pay someone else to do something for less than what you make per hour, then you should do it because you're losing money by not doing that. If there's two people to make $100 an hour and one of them works 12 hours and the other person works 16 because they're able to pay someone else to clean their house, to do dishes, to edit content, to do whatever the things that they would be spending those 4 hours doing, they're going to make more money in comparison because they are spending their time working and paying someone else to do the other things for less. Now, that's the thing. You will always make more money by doing less and by focusing on the things that only you can focus on and having other people fill in every single task that your face doesn't have to be associated with. So at the end of the day, the only thing you should really be doing is the things that only you can do, making the big decisions that only you should be doing, having your face tied to content, to marketing, whatever. But if someone else can do it, have them do it. And if you're worried that other people can't do it as well, I promise you, you're just wrong. You just need to find better people to do it. Because majority of the time, your business is going to do better if you have someone that specializes in one thing so that you can specialize on another. And if you have people who specialize in every single field so that they're all focusing on the things that they need to focus on, which allows you to just find people that then specialize in the others. You will never have to worry about if you get sick or if something happens. You're going to make it so much further. And the way you think about this is Amazon. Do you think that the founder or CEO of Amazon is packing boxes, is doing packages? Absolutely not, right? Because his face doesn't have to be tied to it. And because him working on that means that he can't work on the more important things. Regardless of what your level is, you have to think about this the same way. Because in order to get to that point, you need to start doing that now. So what I do with pretty much every single client, what I do with myself, is I want you to track your day, track your entire week, 30-minute increments, and look at those 30 minutes. And you can plug into AI, or you can just look over it and ask yourself, what are all of the tasks that somebody else can be doing that my face doesn't need to be tied to? And if you can pay them to do that for less than you make an hour, then do that. And you will make so much more money in comparison, so much more progress in comparison, and the work will be done so much better. Now it brings us to number 6, which is you must control the narrative. Now, what does this mean? What I mean by this is you must control how you're viewed. And I'm not saying you need to hide things or like be secretive. What I'm saying is that you need to control the way people view your brand, view you, view all of it. Because at the end of the day, how people view it is how it is. And people do not always buy into the products, which you're going to talk about products in a second. When people don't always buy into the products, they buy into what the product is known for, what it makes them feel, what it's associated with. So that's why in my content, I don't post a ton of flashy things. I don't do that because I'm trying to change the associations that online money has, right? So if I'm posting all these flashy things, I'm not controlling the narrative. And what people don't understand is they try to just put something out there, but not all attention is good attention. Every single time someone sees you, it either makes them like you more or it makes them like you less. It either makes them like your brand more or makes them like your brand less. So by controlling the narrative and understanding how you can actually put yourself across, put your product across, put your brand across in the way that you want it to be seen, you need to understand how to do that properly. If you can't, that's where building leverage comes in. Hire someone who can. But at the end of the day, your narrative is one of the most important things, because if you have a bad reputation, because if you're associated with the wrong things, the wrong stories, the wrong identity, you will attract the wrong audience. And attracting the wrong audience is one of the worst things that you can possibly do. because your business cannot run, your brand cannot grow. Nothing works if you're attracting the wrong people. So control the narrative. And this doesn't just mean that you need to hide things or hold things back, but it could just mean understanding what you're good at and showing more of that so that you are known for, you are represented by, and you're associated with the things that you want to be associated with. Now, this brings us to the last point, which is obsess over your product. At the end of the day, the product is the most important thing. Obsessing over your content, obsessing over your marketing, obsessing over your results, obsessing over the product itself will bring you further than anything else. Now, obviously, you need to take the other things that we talked about and implement it in. You need to implement speed, you need to implement leverage, but the product itself will get you such good results that you no longer need marketing. The product itself will get you such good referrals you no longer need to worry about getting clients. Obsessing over the product itself will bring you further than anything else will, because that is the business. And so many people do the bare minimum to just getting results or just getting the job done, but they don't go above and beyond and think, how can we take what we have? And if we were charging 10x the price, what would we have to do in order to get there? Now add everything that you can. And then you can also go the opposite route and say, if we had to deliver the same thing, but have it be a 10th of the price, what can we remove right now to get it there? That way you're able to get the most value through your product, get the best results, but deliver it for the least cost possible. That is how you properly do this. And then it's just about actually understanding what people want, but obsessing over the product and truly understanding what you can do, what leverage you can build, what you can automate, what you can make better so that it's incomparable from anything else in the market will bring you further than anything else. So these are the 7 things, the 7 lessons I've learned that I stand by and that I constantly do every single day to guarantee that I'm able to go from not just 7 figures, but to get to 8 figures a year. I hope that you take something from this, you implement it, and you actually learn from it. If you want more advice or you want to know more specifics, subscribe, drop a follow, and hope you enjoy.